Hey everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I wanted to share. Actually, let me adjust my light here. There we go. I wanted to, I guess, talk about the shift of this channel, and it's fascinating because I had a very amazing email. Of course, I was every time like I communicate with all of you who do communicate with me through email, through Instagram, Facebook. It's all met with love, and I really appreciate everybody for that. So, with that said, I would like to acknowledge what I'm feeling and what others are feeling, which is the direction of words for wisdom. Where does this go from here? Because I think we've already hit every aspect of reality and society. We can't keep going over the same messages over and over. And I think in order to reach more people, which a lot of you are responsible of communicating to other people, that there is a greater truth. I would like to start to go into the elements of how does this work? How does someone get to the level of benevolent, whatever dimensional benevolence, or even like, when it comes to like my grandmother, she's a minister of a church. Well, she was until she got older and she stopped. But how does one know that they have a calling? How does one know that this is the right journey? How do you know if the information in your head is the valid and correct information? And how do you basically step into your own path to inspire other people in this journey? And I guess with that said, you just have to take a risk and you have to trust yourself. And I think in some lack of terminology, that's what really gave me the will to start this YouTube channel, because my Facebook Words for Wisdom is all like quotes and memes of other people who already had quotes. But how does one know to say different quotes, like Maya Angelou, when she says people will not remember what you said or did, but they will remember how you made them feel. And that's like a quote that really sticks in my mind like forever. But what did someone go through in order to know how to say that kind of inspiration? So Words for Wisdom is going to take a little turn because we're moving into the higher density. We are in fifth dimensional transit. We are in 5D Earth. So let's just let's get there, yo. Let's go. So I'll start with this. Tomorrow or Saturday, I'll break it down on paper, from what I understand of everything, and everybody may have a different view about it, but I think I've been very in tune to where I can feel comfortable enough to start teaching or start sharing the direction, the directives, the narratives, because I think this has been in my conscience for a long time that this is the work that I need to do. I need to start helping aspire people to go this route where I am. And there's other people too out there who comment on my channel, and they're on the same wavelength too. So I encourage everybody to constantly keep your mouth running. You have to trust what you're saying, even if like what you're saying is, if you think it's off, if you doubt it, you still have to speak it, because anything you say becomes fruition to some other affirmation. So let's go back to the basics. What I used to do in my own home in order to keep a safeguard over knowing if these messages are appropriate, knowing if these are coming from a direct source, knowing that they're coming from God, knowing that they're coming from the Holy Spirit, because for a lack of terminology or a short term of terminology, that's essentially where everything comes from. So, I try to be careful not to push Christianity. I try to keep it very centered where, if you guys even know, Hinduism is really on point, and Buddhism is on point as well. But how, if you read in history, the 12 disciples, even down to the Last Supper, where did Jesus go before he was idolized or the white version of him was idolized as this glowing, descendant and whatnot? But what happened to the human body that actually undergone 32 years of undetected activity? Where did he go? And then you see the different pictures where he had the mudras, the sword, going to the heart with the sword. That's Hinduism. Mudras are they're Hindi hand gestures. Even when we look at the bad guys, they have their own mudras, but everything has meaning. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, whether it's evil or not, or for light or for sovereignty, they all mean something. Like I was mentioning earlier, I don't do yoga because the first thing they do is make you stand with a triangle of your knee. One foot is up, right? And you're making a triangle with the knee, and then you put a triangle over your heart. You have just now channeled a spirit that you don't know. And then this is why a lot of people who go to my sessions that I instruct, I get nervous because they do a lot of yoga and they never know what's harvesting their body. And they're going from the yoga room to, my dance class. And they're constantly, it's like a wasteland of energy that I'm constantly having to purge and deplague myself. I was burning sage earlier today, and that's how it really started with me. I'm like, wow, the Bible didn't say I could burn sage, so it must be, it must be a sin to burn. It started with the curiosity of, how about I just keep the teachings and keep the scriptures to my heart, but how about the physical part of myself, the outside? How about I make a journey and take a risk? And how about I not care about the risk? So I started lighting white candles, and right now I have purple candles because those colors remind me of, peace and prosperity and abundance. Yellow also. Even if you look up these colors, there's no one really to help people aspire to look these things up. So that's why I kind of feel like now's the time where I want to start engineering, my own channel to be a place and a resource for people to feel comfort. And we're even like my group on Facebook. I have a group called Beautiful Souls, and it's just a space where people can, in their own part of our reality, they can speak their own truth. They can feel comfortable to share what they want, no matter what denomination it is, whatever practice. Because nothing says that you cannot flip-flop and crisscross different beliefs. Nothing says that. It only says thou shalt not worship other gods, but that was the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, if you guys understand, was Yahuwah. And who's to say that Yahuwah wasn't a fallen angel or even a descendant just like Jesus was as well? You have these figures that are placed here, and I think sometimes it's all a test at the end of the day. So start with white candles, start with, incense. Find incense and things that make you feel like, feng shui your home, your space, your room. If it's your apartment, turn your whole apartment into a zone, a spa zone. I feng shui a lot, and I would love to get into that as we unfold in the coming week. I'll show everybody how I create positive ley lines in my own apartment. It's been working. And then one thing I need to work on is not pay attention to what's going on in the outside world, because every turn, every cataclysm, every whatever, I already know like the dates and the numbers, but on accident, because I am in the know of what the occultists are up to, it helps manifest their agenda. Because I am a high vibrational being, I don't want to keep manifesting these things to happen. I don't want to co-create these things to happen, because they already know once we're attuned to what they're up to, we will help energize their agenda. We will help push their agenda forward. So it's all a mind trick, but you have to learn how to sort yourself out of it. You have to learn how to see what is what, but then where do you fit in all of this? Let me adjust my... It's something weird with the sun. Every time, like, or we already know about that. I have to keep adjusting my light because certain changes with the light. Yeah, so I actually put, I had a white candle in each corner of my space when I first started to become aware that I was absorbing dark forces. I was attaching myself to toxic energy, and toxic people were coming my way left and right. Unfortunately, you know, I do have a past of, there was some hiccups in the past, and there's addiction in my family. I never really considered myself having a problem with addiction, but what was happening, because I was an empath and I was touching people, I was absorbing their issues and their habits, and I was carrying out some of their unfinished, you know, sometimes karma needs to get burnt off, and I was carrying on affliction. This is what the life of Jesus was about. Like, he touched so many people, but he had to pay the ultimate sacrifice at the end. So I think a lot of us are going through that transfiguration of going from normalcy to wanting to be a part of helping and assisting the light. Then we go into the suffrage, and then we die to this world which is all corrupted, but then we find ascension into source. We go back to source. It's very confusing, but I think you guys make sense of it. Like, I made sense of it after some time, to where I was able to push record and speak. And you know, it's quite fascinating, and I appreciate that I haven't really had negative comments at all on my channel, because I think when you speak from your intentions and you mean well, and you just go forward with it, you just kind of just aim for, direct your truth, no one can dispute with that. Now, if you are constantly posting conspiracy theories, which we all are conspiracy theorists, then you start attracting an opposition. But I think when it comes to a path that's unknown, there is no opposition. So therefore, no one can debate with you. Like, I know some people want to post videos on their channel, but don't do what everybody's doing. You know, speak from your heart and just leave it at that. I'll talk for 2 more minutes. Some people have asked me through email and through comments, like, how do you channel? A lot of times I just focus my mind. I keep saying this. There's an antenna of light going out of the crown of my head, and it goes to the sky. It goes to the highest high. And I just try to make that light as white as possible. And what's interesting is words will start to come to your consciousness. You start to go, even if it's weird and funky, like, there's times where I get Aramaic language in my head, and I'll go ba ra ta kayata yatarata, and I know that's Aramaic because it's constantly with an ending. And I've done the homework, I've done the research, I know what I'm talking about. But each syllable of each word, I go Hebrew meaning of ta, Hebrew meaning of ra, Hebrew meaning of ja, ha, ja. And they will tell you exactly the meaning of that, because Hebrew and Aramaic were parallel. They were the first documented languages that described the spirituality, the journey. Whereas the hieroglyphs of Egypt and the symbols of Ethiopian and Armenian, the symbols weren't transcribed until it was actually the Chinese that had rise. They were able to transcribe the language of Ethiopia and Armenia later on in time. But the first documented language, aside from the Egyptian hieroglyphs, you have Hebrew and you have Aramaic. So a lot of times when I tell people, we always put Jewish at the top of the list, but a lot of times we have to kind of pause out of respect and loyalty for what it is. I saw that. We have to pause on that. Sometimes we just have to look at the very origins of language. Also, when it comes to channeling, I went over my 2 minutes, I said. Channeling has a lot to do with breath. It has to do with, I saw that too. It has to do with breathing. I have fairies or orbs in my car, as usual. That's my confirmation too. Remember, like I said in the video earlier, always ask for confirmation. Confirmation could be you find something on the ground that will reflect what you're talking about. Confirmation could also be, someone coming to you saying, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in a long time, but I was thinking about you." What is going on behind me? Confirmation could also be, like for me, horns that honk, sirens, cars that, beep, beep, beep. Or what I just learned is the thymus gland. Whenever I speak from my heart, it's really not my voice box or my heart, but it is the thymus gland, which essentially is the second heart chakra. Because you have one heart beating, so your second heart is the chakra. And so, okay, that's a light refragment. So a lot of times when I'm speaking from my heart or I'm channeling, my second heart chakra is activating, which is causing me to go. So, and I tell people it's not acid reflux at all. My grandmother gets this a lot of times when she was preaching in church, like, she would be like, she would just outright have a belch in the middle of, preaching. So a lot of people, they talk about speaking in tongues. Is speaking in tongues appropriate? Should I speak in tongues? I immediately just say no. If you don't have that natural automatic gift, don't do it. But you have to understand that there is a bloodline of people who are from, and serpent doesn't really mean, I learned this today from Ashira. Thank you, Ashira. Serpent doesn't really mean evil. It doesn't mean the devil. Serpent or Yahweh just meant, or Yahweh, it just means that it was the being of commanding the lands, overseeing the ocean. If you saw these two naked people named Adam and Eve walk up in your territory and you're like, wait a minute, hold up, who are you guys? Let me manipulate you to go about how I want things to go. Therefore, I'll have two people work on my behalf without me having to do all the work as the overseer of this land. Let me pull y'all into my consciousness. That was a channeled message already. So a lot of times you have to be confident and just kind of just own what you're saying. And nine times out of 10, you won't be off. You won't be wrong. And if you're off, it's really like there'll be somebody who will plug in. This is why I love you, Ma Pizza. People will plug in those missing gaps because you're in the right truth. You have to trust what you're saying. Another thing too, I think people need to start learning that they're always protected. Even if you go to scripture, Bible, it puts in its own text. And even if you say, well, King James was a Freemason and he reprinted the Bible to, to doctrine what their agenda is into the Christian doctrine. That's why I always say to people, it's okay, because what they said was, you will not perish by human hands. This is in, I don't know what scripture it is exactly, but you won't perish by human hands if you don't think you're going to perish by human hands. Natural disaster, I don't know about natural disaster, but if it says you are always protected and you mantra yourself, I am always protected, I am always protected. Even as people were saying, oh, Aaron, there was the 7.1 earthquake and the 6.4 last week. There is an 8.0 or higher on the way. I know. And it's like, it's not like, oh, don't remind me. It's like, please keep reminding me, because it will give me, I keep asking for confirmation that I will be okay, that I'll be protected. Because I did not start this work to perish in no cataclysm. I know that when this earth flips, and all these like tall skyscrapers are brought to the ground, I will have to be doing the work, going block to block, city to city, land to land, encouraging and lifting people up. I know that's what I'm supposed to do. I've seen visions of it, and I know. But I can't keep holding myself back by going, well, the elite did this today, and someone died on this day, and it's just the vibration stays so low. It's time to now bring the vibration up higher. So I'm feeling good about what we're going to be getting into with this channel, Words for Wisdom, with your boy Aaron Davis. And I appreciate everybody so much. You already know I appreciate you. And if you didn't know, or you just subscribed, thank you, because it's scary to put yourself out here, to put your face in front of, goodness gracious, who knows how many people are watching you. And I think about my job, and they're a corporate, and they probably would not favor promoting me if they knew I had a channel like this, because it speaks into a divine space, and it speaks into a free will space. And there's a lot of programming with corporate, and there's a lot of things, symbolisms behind, but it's okay. I'm confident. I'm inspired, and I can't think about what people are gonna do to me. I can't think about who hacked my computer. I do get ticked off. I won't say the P word. I do get ticked off when I'm uploading something on YouTube, and right in the middle of my upload it says error, cannot upload. This is why I know I'm supposed to say what I'm supposed to say. Because a lot of people who live in that fear frequency would go, oh, maybe you said too much. Maybe you weren't supposed to say that much. And it's like, well, but what happened to the opposition? Like, maybe I was on the right track. And maybe those words of that higher vibration, that higher frequency, counteract it with the lower frequency of this platform that we're on. Energy is truth. All right, so I'll let you guys go. Stay tuned for more. I'll try not to like infect you guys with so many videos, because it takes a lot of patience. You're right. I have a friend who, she said it earlier, it takes a lot of patience to watch your videos. If I try to be a little bit more charismatic so that everyone's not bored, that you're paying attention. A lot of times too, I look at other people's channels, and I have a go-to, like a group of 5 channels that I go to all the time. And 9 times out of 10, or maybe 10 times out of 10, they are all on the same path and the same track, same mindset, same wavelength as me. There I go with my spiritual hiccups. Here we go, one more. You go, thymus gland. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good night.